Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. I'm back home in Wales for a week, which is why, we got the old setup back, and I've not got a mic, I've got a headset instead, but it's going to be a lot of fun today, because we are talking WWE SmackDown. So without further ado, here is the panel joining me. Firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are things, Clark?
Dude, I am so fired up. This is a sweet Saturday in the fall. One of my favorite times of the year, because as a sports fan in the U.S. who lives in the Pacific Standard Time Zone, I get things like 9 a.m. kickoff, Kansas OU, my Jayhawks against the Sooners, followed by doing a show about SmackDown, which I love. We're going to talk Collision, which we'll get on the end of the night. Then we've got Fury and Ngannou, and we've got F1 qualifying and the World Series. I'm a kid in a candy store on this Saturday, my friends. Doesn't get any better than that.
Well, actually, it does get better than that, because Arsenal won 5-0 today, and Eddie Nketiah got a hat-trick. So I'm over the moon. But also joining us, we have the AEW reviewer for Wrestling Republic joining us, David Sheldon. How are you, David?
Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here today to talk Friday Night SmackDown, a show that I thought had some very, very good moments, some more forgettable moments. I don't think there was anything bad on this show particularly, but I think there is some interesting things to discuss. Also, while we're on the subject of sports teams, Liverpool are playing Nottingham Forest tomorrow, so come on, you Reds. Yeah, mine's not as exciting as your one, Clark. But yeah, there's lots to get into, and yeah, let's get at it.
Absolutely, we've got a couple of comments to open things up as well. Firstly, Bobby Tito saying, I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Thank you, Bobby. We hope you're having a great Saturday too. And Cool Gamer is also here. Hey, Cool Gamer, welcome to the show. Let's get right into things, and let's, off the bat, talk about LA Knight. Yeah, because last night on SmackDown, the show opened with Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table, coming out to sign the contract for their crown jewel match. But just as Roman Reigns was making his overly long entrance, LA Knight's theme hits, and he walks right past Roman Reigns and sits at the head of the contract signing table. This segment was just brilliant. LA Knight got in the head of Roman Reigns, right? We see Roman Reigns do this exact same thing, every single feud. So for somebody to just be like, hang on a second, this is predictable, I can easily, outthink you here, and to just do it, well, LA Knight really feels like he has a chance now. But then, in the main event later on in the evening, LA Knight took on Jimmy Uso and got the victory. And Roman Reigns was not too happy and tried to spear LA Knight. And guess what? It didn't work. LA Knight hit him with his finisher, and he just banged face to the ground. Roman Reigns was out for the count. Honestly, they are booking LA Knight like a top star right now, which is completely and utterly crazy, because when we think about it, even Money in the Bank time, what was that, like June? We were saying, LA Knight's being booked awfully, this is just WWE trying to bury him. They're clearly not trying to bury him, because they were very much putting him over in this segment. These two segments, there was two segments on the night, and in both of them, he got the upper hand on the tribal chief, the undisputed champion. Wow. Big plans WWE seemingly have for LA Knight. But Clark, give me your thoughts on the contract signing and then heading into that main event match. Jimmy Uso, LA Knight.
We had a big question on last yesterday's show on the Daily about how you make it feel like LA Knight could go over on Roman Reigns. Yeah. And Friday night, that question kind of got answered. Yeah. The segments with the pen. Yeah. I loved. Paul Heyman. Yeah. I loved. The Green Bay Packers segment. Yeah. I loved that too. You add in the Jimmy Uso, I'm on IR, I'm not on IR, adding in the football references all throughout that segment. Yeah, loved it. You add in LA Knight stomping a mud hole in the corner like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, love that too. And you throw on top of it, like you said, the one way he might beat him. Does he have the spear scouted? Now we're kind of talking, because it's not just that he hit the move on him. He might have that spear scouted. I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it, with everybody saying LA Knight. Can't get enough of it. I'm way more excited about the match than I was before. Am I over the moon? Not necessarily, because I do believe the result will be the same. But this was the right thing to do at the right time. And every single time, yeah, we've stuck LA Knight in that spot. He's over delivered on the main roster. So even the little jabs about, have you ever had a title match, or have you ever had a contract signing, they don't even land, because LA Knight is operating on a level that is higher than any babyface we've seen in a long time in WWE. He's got command of that crowd. Yeah. And
He absolutely does.
I do not believe that he wins this match, but I do believe that LA Knight's not going away anytime soon. Yeah.
I mean, you just brought it up, right? But we keep mentioning the inexperience of LA Knight in the main event, right? Obviously, he's not been in this position before. This is his first time in that spotlight. But I mean, you're a big MMA fan, Clark. And we talk about it in MMA all of the time. When somebody who's, only used to fighting 3 rounds goes to 5 rounds, it brings up a lot of question marks. I mean, automatically, often people say, oh, we don't know if they can go 5 rounds, but sometimes they shock you. And this could be that for LA Knight. This could be the shock factor.
I think so too.
It's going to be interesting. What do you think, David?
So I thought this segment was fantastic. Like both of you, I thought that, LA Knight is so good on the microphone, and Roman more than holds up his end of the bargain as well. I think this is a fantastic story. I think this is a fantastic presentation for both guys. Roman's going to win. That, like, nothing. You asked the question, what can they do to make it LA Knight seem like a viable challenger? Nothing, sadly, because no one buys LA Knight's going to win. However, if you're going to do the story, that's not necessarily always a terrible thing if it means that you get a raising of the stakes for LA Knight. And LA was so great in this segment. If I'm going to nitpick, and you know what I'm like, my name's David Sheldon. You've seen my stuff before. You know I will. There is a small kind of case, and this is kind of where this is not an issue specific to this segment. This is just a WWE thing. Sometimes we do get a case of, putting the blinders on and kind of, it's the WWE thing of WWE is the only place that these people have ever wrestled. The whole, you've never been in the main event before, you've never had you've never had a world title match before. That's not true. LA Knight's had several, just not in WWE. But I get it. That's me being really harsh, because at the end of the day, I get it. WWE want to make that that their place is the only place, and that's absolutely fine. It is a nitpick, but and it's not the only time it's happened either. Like there were a couple of times on this show where different comments were made in promos and on commentary, and it's just like, yeah, no, that's not true. But you can twist anything for a good story, really. And in WWE, it is true. He hasn't been in the main event, and so it will be a nice upgrade for him. And I do think I do think the match at Crown Jewel is going to be really good. I'll be honest, I thought Jimmy and LA Knight in the main event was fine. But it was a fine match. LA Knight did all the stuff you expect him to do. He was extremely over, hit all his moves. hit a BFT that missed the floor by about 5 yards, and then he won. So this is what LA Knight does. No, that's glib. It was an excellent showcase for Knight, even if the match itself, like I said, was a bit someone hits a move, someone else hits a move, wasn't really all that invested in it, but. It did its job nicely. That we've seen a lot of main events like this, just a way to make LA Knight look good. Really like the final angle with him scouting the spear. Yeah, really good presentation for LA Knight on this show, and I loved his individual camera as well. Yeah, and also really like the Green Bay Packers segment backstage as well with Jimmy and Roman and Paul Heyman. I think that I still think that it's all a bit of a mess right now with Jimmy, but I do think with Roman there. The Jimmy stuff improves because it's the piece the story sometimes misses is Roman Reigns, and it's if it means we kind of need more Roman because Roman does make a lot of these stories tick. Also, Michael Cole on commentary trying to justify Roman Reigns being gone for 3-4 months at a time between title defenses was very funny to me in the main event segment. He was like, Roman doesn't always defend his title every week. What, Michael? Understatement of the century, my friend. He's been gone for months.
Talk about news.
I love it. I love the way that they justify these things. But it's really, really, really good opening segment and a functional main event.
Yeah.
You actually brought up, and we almost got an entire segment without Clark doing the chance then. But
he served up that for me on a silver platter.
But what's it called, right? The thing which you brought up, David, which is quite interesting, of course, is WWE not acknowledging LA Knight's previous World Championship matches, and something which I'm going to be honest here. Here's the hot take from me. I think every single promotion should do that. I think they should all say, this is the real World Championship. Sure, maybe you had World Championship matches in the minor leagues, but this World title is the best World title, so this should be the only thing considered a World title.
No.
I think you can make your title feel bigger than everybody else's without insulting the intelligence of the fans that watch your product. Because if it's the same thing that happened when Sting came to WWE, and you had Michael Cole going, this is what it feels like, Sting, when he's because everywhere else you wrestled was rubbish, weren't they? Same with AJ Styles when he came in, and you wrestled in the minor leagues. I hate it. You can imply that your thing is bigger than everybody else's, and that your place is the promised land without also going, all that stuff that happened. Yeah, no, it didn't though. It's like Men in Black with the
To David's point, it takes the power away from the performer and it puts it all in the organization. And I couldn't agree with you more. Not acknowledging the history, it takes steam off of the wrestlers that come in. Yeah. You get those props from fans that know them from elsewhere, and then you take the rug out from elsewhere.
But that's the thing, Ben, is that with this segment in particular, it wasn't even the case that Roman said you've had championships, but this is the one you really want. They just ignored it just said you've never had a world title match, which is a lie.
But I don't think
it's not a bad lie. It's not a terrible lie. It's a lie that WWE will always make, and I don't blame them for making it.
We're going to say
but it is still a lie.
You've never had a world title match on this scale.
Yeah, but I don't think you should consider it a world title. There can only be one world title. By definition, there can only be one world title. So it's we're going to claim ours is the world title.
We're supposed to watch Ngannou and Fury after
WWE
this?
have two.
No, they have a universal title,
which
is also dumb, which I agree with.
Nonsense.
It's dumb, I agree.
If you watch boxing.
Yeah, but do you know the reason why so many young fans, and you know this, Clark, so many young fans say they struggle to get into boxing because of the title situation. So that's like a fair, boxing's not a good example.
But Bud Crawford unifies one, he's not marketable enough.
I just think here's my problem.
I don't get it.
Yeah, but here's my argument. If who's been say now Damian Priest wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship tomorrow and then loses it, and then a year later goes for the Universal Championship. If Roman Reigns who God forbid is still champion then, as an example, sits there and says, "Well, you've never had a Universal Championship match, you inexperienced clown," does that?
No, I agree. I agree with that.
It's just they've just they put themselves into a corner with this. And
I
apparently,
agree with that point.
I am nitpicking majorly on this, but
No.
it is just something that they do.
I'm with you, David, and I'm going to pile on. There's 2 in the company.
No,
And there
I
has
agree
been
that
for
that's
years.
stupid. I
mean,
agree that
and
that's
look
stupid.
at the way that we treated the world title, like for years. On like there's the Raw and then there's the SmackDown champion or whatever, and like you're talking about there should be one world champion. We've never had that.
We have had that, but not
Well,
they're
With
And they are
until like a
Jericho,
couple of months ago we had it.
and they
and then
are
it
also
worked
slightly
for like a
they are
minute,
also
and then everyone got
Yeah.
bored.
I was going to say they are also slightly selective when they want to talk about championships as well, because sometimes they will bring it up on commentary. For certain superstars, they'll talk about titles that they've won elsewhere, which is why people go on Twitter and say, "Oh, they reference this title that this person's won." So it's just a little bit kind of inconsistent, I'd say, on
And
that.
to
That's
your
true.
point, David, I've watched wrestling for now about 30 years, and I still don't know how many titles Charlotte's won, and I saw her win all of them.
Well, I
Just-
mean that's again we talk about that all the time. That's stat padding, but I do agree. Actually, I think obviously we've gone very off topic, but I do agree it's a fantastic point. Like the 2 world championships, you can't have 2 world championships.
See, I think on the Charlotte side, it's not stat padding, it's pat statting. It's pad statting. It's actually just
What?
it's a pad and it's just stats. It's like, look, this many times, and then it's like, no, that's too many. Actually, she's getting close to a record.
What?
It's pad statting.
And on
It's
that
just-
note, should we move
a
on to
fantasy
the next
world.
segment? Should we just end on Pat stadding? I don't think you
Well,
can add any
Pad.
conversation.
I said pat. That's how it came out. I meant pad statting.
Right. Okay.
Like they give her a
Talking-
pad, and then they put the stats on that pad.
Talking about things which just don't make any sense. They still haven't changed Carlito's theme back, so he's still got this awful
Woof.
new theme he's got.
Couldn't
But
agree more.
Carlito teamed up with Santos Escobar to take on the Street Profits. Of course, Street Profits recently turned heel. They now have a new heel theme song. Obviously, we couldn't really hear it too well. From the little bits I did hear, I didn't have an issue with it. It sounded like it wasn't generic. It was, quite cool. But I think they need to change the Titantron and really, mix it up if you're gonna, repackage them like that. But anyway, LWO versus Street Profits. Backstage, Rey Mysterio got attacked by Logan Paul during this match, which I found very interesting because Logan Paul actually didn't, come to the ring during the show. And for him to, fly in for a WWE event and not, go into the ring or whatever, I mean, that really does surprise me that, he would even fly over for something like that, but he did. And I thought the segment worked in that way, right? There was Logan Paul getting the cheap shot on Rey Mysterio, the it only takes one shot, whatever. But this did lead to the Street Profits getting the win in the ring. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, Street Profits getting a bit of momentum back. But this thing with Bobby Lashley, let's make sure it doesn't get stale. Let's give it some more flavor because just something's off about it at the minute. Maybe it was that loss kind of killed their momentum at Backlash. Not Backlash, at Fastlane. But I don't know. Clark, give me your take on the LWO versus Street Profits.
I'm going to start with this because I'm not 100% sure that you've seen the movie Freaky Friday, but I am 100% sure that David has. And if you've seen that movie, you remember a great line about someone being a fun sucker. Jamie Lee Curtis, fun sucker in that movie. Bobby Lashley right now is a fun sucker on the Street Profits. I want the music back. I want the cups back. I want the fun gear, and the fun is gone. It's not fun anymore. And I liked the story out of the gates, but I don't know necessarily that the Street Profits needed a makeover to start taking losses. I don't know. As far as the LWO is concerned, I think the run's been great so far. This match was fun. I don't know that it moved me an inch as far as storylines are concerned. And the LWO is awesome, but Carlito's wearing his own shirt and he's got the wrong music. And I just, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
It's fine.
And it was good in the ring, but there's too much talent. What are we doing? Make me care more. I need to care more because I still watch it. I'm never gonna not watch it. But you look at Ford and Dawkins, and they're so great. And the reaction still in the gauntlet match at Mania Night 1 to the entrance. And like, what was not hot about what the Street Profits have always been built on? And ever since they've been changed by Bobby Lashley, it's nothing but less dominance, less sublime in-ring work, and absolutely no fighting from underneath. And that's where they're at their finest. Both of them, two immense talents. I would argue probably the best pure tag team in WWE right now.
Wow.
And we've got them wearing bejeweled gear and taking orders from the No Fun Club, Bobby Lashley, who I'm a huge fan of. But like, he's a fun sucker. I'm just saying. Lindsay Lohan said it best. Freaky Friday. Check it out.
Bobby Lashley is a fun sucker. That's a quote. We got a comment here from Bobby Petito saying Street Profits are great together. Absolutely. I think we all universally agree. And then Bobby Petito also saying Street Profits should be the tag team that beat Judgment Day for the titles. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. I'd be totally cool with it as long as there's got to be direction for the Profits, because they're too talented to continue to now look like Bobby Lashley lackeys.
Yeah.
Week in and week out. It's got to be the Profits.
I will say I thought there was quite a bit rubbish about this. The first of all, Carlito's rubbishly generic new theme. Why? Why change one of the most iconic theme songs that you have on your roster? Mind boggles. Second of all, the Street Profits outfits really do. I saw better like dance costumes when I did the dance circuit when I was 10. They look horrible. Third of all, there are so many members of the LWO. Why to ask your tag partner to go and check on Rey Mysterio so that you basically guarantee that you're going to lose the match? Number 4, I forgot my fourth point now. I was talking about point 3. Why does Rey need why does someone need to go and check on Rey? I know the one lucky punch is a thing, but Rey's been doing this for 20 plus years. He's been hit in the face. He'll get back up and he'll go on with his day. Why do you need to lose? Like literally sabotage your own tag match. I like the pairing of Lashley and the Profits, and I think it can work. I think they should have steamrolled people. It should have been like this new force that nobody could control, and then they were immediately controlled. And so it's like, oh, right, okay, so where do we go now then? And the answer is nowhere, really, because Bobby should be in the world title picture. That it should feel like the Profits are steamrolling the tag division, Lashley is steamrolling the singles division. Without the awful outfits, you don't need those, and just have them be these really swaggering, just nasty kind of newfound energy, and just have them destroy people. They were Bobby Lashley killing people with his suit, like spearing people out, was great. But we're at a point now where they're just another team on the roster, and Lashley is another lad on the roster, and they're too good for that. Clark's absolutely too good for that.
No, I could not agree. I could not agree more with both of you on this one, to be honest. Something's missing with the Street Profits, and I think that is just them being, just completely invincible heels. They shouldn't be like, they shouldn't seem like cowards as heels. They should seem like, oh wow, they've turned heel and now they've stepped it up another level. And that was kind of what the Hurt Business were actually like for quite a bit, and what Bobby Lashley's done great as well for years, and that's how I thought it was going to go. But talking about things which, well, I wasn't sure how they were going to go, Chelsea Green took on Shotzi Blackheart last night, and this match really surprised me. Shotzi, of course, has been getting a bit more TV time on SmackDown over the last couple of months, ever since she shaved her head during the Bayley feud a couple of months back, just, the SmackDown before Money in the Bank, I believe it was. But last night, she took on Chelsea Green, and Shotzi got the win. It was quite a short match, and, it looked like Chelsea was going to get the win. She had the upper hand, but in the end, Shotzi flipped her over. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, Shotzi, is she going to find a tag partner? And if she does, then maybe Shotzi and whoever that tag partner is could be next in line for Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. David, what were your thoughts on this women's match?
So I did a little bit of research into this, and after I saw the match, and I discovered that this was indeed a wrestling match. There was a start, there was a middle, there was a finish. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Genuinely. It was a match. It was fine. It was all right. I like Shotzi. I like Chelsea. Not a lot happened. It's mid card wrestling. Like they both like I like Chelsea and Piper. Looks like I want to see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn come back and do the tag title match. What am I trying to say on this? It's 4 minutes or nothing to fill a bit of time. Like I said, like both women, it was literally the definition of a wrestling match.
Yeah, I mean,
Russian
that
leg
says a
sweep
lot.
was pretty sweet.
Yeah, there was good.
Oh,
There
the
was
second
good
rope.
moves.
I like
there was
that.
good
I'd have
moves.
that one.
I literally watched the entire match, going, "Yeah, this is wrestling." I've seen plenty of this.
90% commercial.
There was nothing that made me more excited. There was nothing that made me less excited. It was literally just there.
Yeah.
To your point, it cracked me up. I'm like, my two takeaways. Corey Graves stole the show when he was like, I don't know if you know this, but Shotzi's gear is made from a real straitjacket. And
That was gold. That was gold. I forgot about that.
That one cracked me up. And then there was the spot off the apron, the dive Shotzi. That one was money. And then I actually thought the Russian leg sweep, even though the setup wasn't a great look, that the Russian leg sweep itself looked really solid. Other than that, though, it was like you said, it was 5 minutes.
Yeah. Do you know what I kind of wish this match had that it didn't? Was one of Shotzi's Halloween Havoc costumes, because they were great. I loved those from NXT, one of the highlights of the night. Like, just not like a full-on costume, but something that, because like that would have been the most interesting thing about it to me. It would have been if she'd have done another massive like character. Because I know, I get it. This is her actual story, but we haven't seen much of her on TV.
No, we haven't. It's true.
It's another loss for Chelsea, who's the tag champ.
They made.
I mean, you saying like not you not being able to say much about it, David, actually says a lot, because you should not have a moment on your biggest wrestling show of the week, right? A 5-10 minute segment where like you come out of it and you're like, well, there's nothing really to say.
I literally
That should not be the
made
case.
no notes. I made no notes.
The pre-segment I thought was solid, right? To your point too, David. You know what I mean? Like the setup backstage when they were dressing the costumes. I thought it was interesting. Very clearly filmed last week. And Graves, that was the other spot I was going to talk about, like just briefly, but like not. But Graves did a great save where he was like, interesting. Chelsea's not out here in the devil costume. And then that's when he made mention of the outfit change by Shotzi too. I mean, that was filmed a week ago. So you could have put more time into, you clearly had time to put into this.
Yeah.
Backstage. We're not seeing an outfit change from 5 p.m. to 8 when they go live.
Yeah. I actually feel like with the dynamic, Shotzi versus Piper might actually have been a bit more of an interesting matchup here. Not that I don't like Chelsea, not that I don't want to see Chelsea wrestle. Of course I do. She's excellent. But I do think Piper is the better wrestler. I think Chelsea is the better character and Piper is the better wrestler. And I think that, I think it would have been some nice momentum for Piper if she could get a win over Shotzi, whereas actually I don't think this really helped anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely, David. I couldn't agree more. This needed to be more. But now let's talk about Bianca Belair. She, of course, returned on last week's episode of SmackDown to help Charlotte Flair against Damage Control. Damage Control put her out of action 2 months ago, but now she is back and she has her sights set on Io Sky. She wants to win back that women's championship, and she wants to do it very soon. She's got a championship match next week. Could she win that title back off Io Sky? Clark, give me your take on this one.
Bianca Belair. That's who we're talking about. The EST. The biggest, the fastest, the best, the strongest. Come on, man. I'm just stoked to see Bianca back. Let's throw some spice in our lives right now. We need it with Damage Control. We got Bianca and Bayley in a storyline. I'm fired up. Let's let Bayley free. Let's turn Bayley loose. Let's add her to the storyline. Let's keep Io going. But goodness gracious, is it absolutely delightful to have Bianca in the ring talking about the SmackDown Women's title, whatever you want to call it, the World Women's title. She should have been in this picture all along. But absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'll admit that. And man, it was just awesome to see Bianca talk. She's sublime as usual directionally. I mentioned Charlotte Bailey earlier. I was probably wrong a couple weeks ago about that one. But hey, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Bianca Bailey's the story. Give me the big one, Bianca Bailey, and make it nasty in the best way possible. Make it absolutely cutthroat. Make it a rivalry. Make it matter. Make it personal. Make it feel like we're like, oh, we gotta see that women's titles match or women's title match. That's what I'm asking for. And if there's two talents I know can deliver that, it's Bianca Belair and Bailey. And I'm just stoked to see that. And that is no knock on Io Sky. But it's just time to take this title and make it super, super, super serious as best you can. And the two that can, in my eyes, are Bianca and Bailey.
Absolutely. No, I mean, truthfully, about Bianca Belair, winning back that championship and having, that feud with Bailey Clark, I think that would be very fun. In fact, I definitely think that would be a top match. I am more interested in seeing Io Sky versus Bailey. I still disagree with you, on Io losing the championship, but we're going to have to wait and see, how this one plays out. I do think they need to maybe speed things up a little, I guess, but Bianca Belair is back. That's what's important. The EST of WWE. And that is great. But now let's move on to somebody else who's not back, but they've arrived on SmackDown. Dragon Lee, who took on somebody who, if I'm being completely honest, I forgot was on SmackDown. Cedric Alexander. Dragon Lee versus Cedric Alexander. This is one of those ones where you're like, this should be a dream match, right? And as they both made their way to the ring, they showed this Cedric Alexander hype package, and I got really hooked in. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And the two didn't put on a bad match. Like, it was a really, it was a fun match for what it was. They weren't given too much time, so they couldn't, go overboard or anything like that. Also, the crowd weren't super into it. But listen, Dragon Lee, he is over like anything right now. They are pushing him, and they are pushing him really fast. I think Clark just accidentally hit the camera angle then. But they're obviously pushing Dragon Lee to the moon, for lack of a better term, to take one out of Cameron Grimes' book there. But yeah, Dragon Lee, Cedric Alexander, this was solid. But kind of should have felt like a bigger deal, I feel. But Dragon Lee picks up another win. David, what was your take on this match?
I absolutely agree with you, Ben. I love the fact that they did the little video package for Cedric before the match. Great stuff for that. Big fan. Should be done more often on a lot of companies. AEW comes to mind on that one, particularly. I enjoyed the match a lot. I think that there was a brutal knee on the apron. Crikey, made me wince from I think it was Dragon Lee. This felt like a tease for a better match. It was a good match that has potential to be a great match. Obviously, Shelton is no longer with the company, so that kind of leaves Cedric a little bit in limbo. He was already in limbo, even in the team, if they weren't doing anything. I would send Cedric to NXT now, and that's not a demotion by any means. If anything, it's a reawakening, because NXT is fantastic and a great place for somebody like Cedric to kind of get his momentum back. Because Cruiserweight Classic Cedric was brilliant, and he's not really done an awful lot since until the Hurt Business, and then just it continued and floundered again. He's such a great talent, and it's really nice to see him on the show, and I think there's a lot more you can do with him somewhere like in NXT, give him a chance to develop again. But yeah, Dragon Lee's fantastic, and it's just nice to see him on the main roster and thriving. It could have been a worldie, perhaps in a different promotion, if it was given 20 minutes on an independent show. But as it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of like the women's segment we talked about, where there wasn't like too much to talk about coming out of it, apart from the future of Dragon Lee. That's what they're building towards now. And at least like, I'm not, by the way, just to be clear, when I was talking about Cedric, like, I'm not complaining about him losing. Dragon Lee winning 100% the right call, but you just would expect this to be a bigger deal, wouldn't you? But yeah, Dragon Lee, they're building up, and I love to see it when, young stars are being built up like Dragon Lee is right now. That's exactly what WWE should be doing, and I'm excited for the future of Dragon Lee on Friday nights. But now let's talk about something which I think, a lot of people maybe weren't too excited for John Cena Solo Sikoa. Well, this segment, it got me excited. It really, really did. John Cena came out, he started doing that kind of, I don't want to say generic, but somewhat generic at this point promo, where he's, talking about, oh, I really need to win this one. If I don't win this, then, I've lost 4 singles matches in a row. I haven't won a singles match since before the pandemic. Like, that's not going to work. And it's like, David, you said, like, a couple of weeks ago, whatever. Like, it's only 3 matches. Like, it's no really big deal. John Cena's making it seem like a bigger deal than it is. Admittedly, for John Cena to lose, 3 singles matches in a row, I guess that is a big deal, because I don't even know how many times that's actually happened before in his entire career, really. Losing 3 matches, you have to go back years, I think, to be able to find that, unless you were maybe counting live events. But even then, I don't think he was losing much in those. But yeah, John Cena did that generic promo. It was like, oh, it's okay, whatever. Then out came Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman, as always, he just makes everything just fantastic. No matter the story, he pulls you in. He makes you care. I've gone on about it so many times. Anthony on the daily has gone on about it multiple times. But Paul Heyman really is that guy. And Paul Heyman put John Cena over. He said, you were the GOAT. Roman Reigns is now the GOAT. He has replaced you, but you are the GOAT when it comes to communicating. And then he brought in Solo Sikoa's Samoan Spike. Said that, hey, who knows, maybe if Solo hits you hard enough with that, maybe you won't be able to talk anymore. Maybe, your voice box will just be completely broken, and you will lose that. You will lose your greatest strength. And I thought that by Heyman was just wonderful. That was exactly what this feud needed, the spice that it needed. Was it a little bit over the top, especially considering Solo Sikoa then hit the Samoan Spike? Sure, but at the same time, if they now act like it, you lose your voice if he hits it every single time, then that would be stupid too, right? But I think the approach they're going with is, if he hits it hard enough at a certain point, who knows? There's a risk. I'm excited for this match. I'm glad Solo is in this situation, and congratulations to Paul Heyman for really elevating this feud last night. David, what were your thoughts on this segment? Because of course you weren't too happy with John Cena's promo last week.
No, I was a very cross man last week. This was fantastic. This was a fantastic promo. There were problems. They were the same problems as last week. I just don't buy Sad Cena. I don't buy I don't. I think it's because I've had to see Cena go through so many worst years of his life. Everything's falling apart, and they never feel justified. They just don't, because he's not booked like that. But I do think that Cena is a brilliant deliverer, and he does do his best. I think the story doesn't make any sense, but I think that the way Cena delivers it is very strong. When Paul Heyman came out, this went up 5 notches. Paul Heyman is a genius, and him and Cena, they work fantastically well together. We've seen that before. And Heyman knew all the buttons to press, all the things he had to say to get Solo over. Again, I think that, they should have saved Spike for the match. I think doing the Spike in the silly doesn't make sense. But I do think that the segment was excellent, and I do like the post-match attack. I like Cena got no offense in on Solo, makes Solo look great. But most of this, I think, was on Paul and how just phenomenally strong Paul Heyman is. And it felt like a really, really, really strong point and a strong entry into this story going into Crown Jewel. And I think this match, it's not going to be a phenomenal match. I shouldn't imagine. We haven't seen one from Cena in a long while, but I do think that I think Solo should win. I am fearful that if Cena, it depends on whether Cena is going back, because there's currently no kind of end point on the SAG strikes. No, they don't seem to be any closer to a deal, so we could be getting more of Cena. If we're getting more of Cena, absolutely he should lose to Solo. Because actually, that will make the story of Cena not winning make more sense. I think the reason why I'm so down on this story, and I think that the Cena winning thing doesn't make sense, is that we've just watched him win at Fastlane, and that is what it kind of sticks in my craw about this. I do think that if the exact same Cena promo that I ragged on last week happened after the Solo match, I'd have no issue if Solo won. But I think it was, like I said, doesn't make a great deal of sense, but the delivery was outstanding from Heyman, and delivery was also really, really strong from Cena.
Last week, I'm going to be honest, I thought you were a little harsh on it. This week, what you just said there, I couldn't agree more. For Cena to deliver that promo unit after a singles loss, that would have been perfect. He did it a couple of weeks after, or even a week after a tag team win. It really did. It really was weird. But Clark, what did you think about John Cena and Paul Heyman's in-ring segment?
I promise I'm trying to do this even less intentionally than I did when I accidentally cut the camera to David earlier. I'm not trying to agree with him all show, but boy, is he spot on. And talk about stones left unturned. One of my favorite John Cena matches of all time, Royal Rumble 07 against Umaga, the Samoan Spike being a factor. Not mentioned. No reason, right? Why would we remember that? Oh, I do. And I promise you, I'm not the only fan that does. We can't bring that up. He's seen a Samoan Spike before and walked through it. And to David's point about telling the story about losing the voice, your point, Ben, as well, about losing the voice, that's a great story. And it's got to be harder. That's not exactly what we saw. I loved the lack of offense, like David mentioned, but that's not exactly what we saw. We didn't see him get Samoan spiked into oblivion or even Bolivian. We didn't see any of that, right? And if you're going to make it about that, then I want to see the thumb too, right? Like I've seen Umaga. Umaga gave you the spike about every time, even when he started taking losses, right? I think Umaga was like probably the best challenger at the height of Cena's early reign. I'm not saying that Solo is the exact same as Umaga, but that move being used is important to note. And it's just a stone left unturned. There's too many stones left unturned. And to what David mentioned about the SAG deal, I don't know if it helps. I love Cena to death, and he's awesome. But I mean, we complain all the time about you're going to this city, you're going to that city, and you're doing this. How do you open that promo? This is what a crowd sounds like and sold out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's like, really? I mean, that was as generic as a Cena can sound out of the gates. And no knock on Milwaukee. I love Bratwurst as much as the next guy. But I'm just saying, do we need to hear Cena tell every live crowd how much he loves that city? There's no way he likes all of them.
That is a good point.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with I love this city, I love that city. That's just Cena's crowd work. He does it all the time. That's it. Do you know what? It worked because the crowd went ballistic for it.
We've seen it from Milwaukee.
So many faces on so many times. It's just, and like I said, I thought the promo was really brilliant. I am nitpicking and on small things, but I agree with you, Clark. I do think that stone was left unturned, and I just think that. Again, that little logic hole in the middle of the center of this promo, which is the sad Cena stuff, to me doesn't work.
Yeah, and no, I mean that is a good point.
But that doesn't take away from, because I think the build to Cena versus Sikoa in this match was mostly brilliant. I just think the build for Cena and his overall arc isn't working for me now. Give it a couple of weeks. If they tell the story properly, fine. But we'll see how we go.
100%.
Absolutely, David. I could not agree more, Clark, again, too. That does seem like a stone left unturned, and let's see if they turn it over next week, the Friday before Crown Jewel. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please leave us a like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, a cheeky 5 stars makes my day. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to David for joining me here today. It's been a blast. We will be back here tomorrow to give our thoughts on AEW Collision, where Kenny Omega will be competing to try and win back the AEW Championship off MJF. And of course, check out David's review for that on WrestlingRepublic.com immediately following the show. Not immediately following the show, tomorrow morning. We will see you guys then. Peace.
Get some sleep, Ben.